What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, it's funny, I get accused a lot of times of being a LeBron hater. But watch how magically, none of the people who always comment when I do a video they perceive as hating on LeBron, watch how none of them notice this video. None of them. They're not going to comment. None of that shit. They're not going to comment because they made up in their minds I'm a LeBron hater, so they only comment on the videos where I'm perceived to be talking crap about them. But today is the 20-year anniversary of LeBron being drafted into the NBA. 20 years ago, he was drafted first overall by the Cleveland Cavaliers out of high school. And I remember, and a lot of people don't want to remember this, but I remember there were a lot of people who thought that he was going to be a bust. They were complaining about his games coming on ESPN. Like, what high school kids' games come on ESPN? He was the most heavily hyped player I've ever seen in my life. People think that Victor Wembanyama and people think, Victor Wembanyama and Zion Williamson and some of these other guys were heavily hyped. No, not like LeBron. If it was the internet back then, it would have been, the internet would have been just ridiculous with hype when it comes to this guy. And the buzz was that he was going to be the savior, that he was going to turn the Cleveland Cavalier franchise around. Cleveland had been declining as a franchise for about a decade at that time. And, they had some good teams here or there, the Terrell Brandon team was pretty decent. But as far as them being like contenders, that hadn't been the case since the early 1990s, late 80s. I knew from watching him playing that McDonald's All-American game, I knew, and I can't remember whether that was after he was drafted, the McDonald's All-American or before, but I can't remember. But anyway, I knew when I watched him playing in that game that he was on another level. Like watching him play with those other youngsters, you could see that he was already ready for the NBA. And I knew that he would be a Hall of Famer. The only thing would stop him would be either injuries or himself. But I knew skill set wise, dominance wise, his body, he would be a Hall of Famer. Now, how good he would be, I don't know. I didn't know that, but I knew that he was going to be great. If you had to put a weapon to my head, I would have said he was going to end up being a top 50 player. Now, did I see him being what he became? No, I didn't see that. I didn't see him becoming the all-time leading scorer. I saw him being a guy that would probably average for his career, like, I would have guessed 25, 7, and 5. I would have saw him winning maybe 1 or 2 championships, 20,000 points. I saw him doing something like that. I didn't see him doing what he ultimately became. He exceeded my expectations of what he actually became. He did. And, when I say that I think he's a top 4 or 5 all-time player, when everything's said and done, it's like that's not enough for people. It's like I'm criticizing him. And I'm not. I just don't think he's the GOAT. His longevity numbers are going to be incredible. They're going to be on another stratosphere. But Emmitt Smith's longevity numbers compared to a guy like Jim Brown are incredible. But that doesn't mean he was a better running back than Jim Brown. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to do this to note that it's been 20 years since he was drafted, and He is one of the great players, and over the last 20 years, even though sometimes I might sound like I'm a big, huge LeBron hater, I am not. Especially the first 7-year stint that he had in Cleveland. I was one of the biggest LeBron fans you would find. But something happened after that first tenure. Like, I don't know whether it's the ego got too large for him or on him, and he just got surrounded by sycophants who just kiss his butt to the point where he just has become somewhat insulated from the real world, and he's just in his own alternate world. I don't know, his alternate reality, but that can happen. I mean, look at what Cat just recently said. Cat thinks he's going to be one of the all-time great players. That he's already one of the all-time great players. Like, this is how delusional some of these players can become. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it, man. Tell me what you guys think.